The best way to get better at programming is to practice. And in this example, we have an array that's already been created, and we're going to loop through each value. As always, this file is available for download using a link in the description below. We'll pause for a couple seconds so you can download it, then you can choose to follow along or attempt it on your own and then check your answer. All right, so let's get started. I have here my array that's already been created on line 7. So I'm just going to come down a couple lines to make this easier. And anytime we want to step through something like an array, a lot of times we're going to use a for loop. So I'm going to say for int I equals 0. And so far, this is everything that we've seen before. We say I is less than, nothing has changed. And this is even how we do it in a language like C. But here's where a change is going to be because the array is an object. We're going to say values.length. Length is a property of our array object, and therefore we're going to know how big our array is. So unlike in C or C++ where we have to keep track of how big our arrays are, often using things like a global constant or something like that, it is set here and we are able to easily work with that value. Now I'm just going to say I++. And then I have my loop body. This is going to allow us to go through the number of elements inside of values. Of course, we haven't actually done anything with values yet, so we need to change that. We're just going to print this out, say system.out.println, and then I'm going to specify values. I don't want the whole array, so I'm going to say square brackets. That's going to give me an individual element. I'm going to use I, and that's going to be the index for that element. So we're only going to get a single value. Now I can come in here and run. And you'll notice that when it prints out those values 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, etc. Now that's the whole amount of this array. This array could have had hundreds of elements. It would have worked. It could have had 2 elements. It would have worked. This is a very nice and simple, easy way to use a for loop to step through an array. And it doesn't matter if it's an array like this of integers or if it was something else. So real quickly, just to show you, we're going to create a second array. This one of type string. It's going to be called names equals, I'll have Bob, Sue, Mark, and Mary. I'm going to take, instead of using values, I'm going to replace wherever it says values and change that to names. So my for loop is exactly the same. No changes except to the name of the array that we're going to use. Now when I run this, instead of printing out those numbers, notice I now get those 4 names. So it's a different size array. It's a different type of array. Doesn't matter. Our for loop to loop through it and through the array works identically. If you found this video helpful, please consider giving it a like and follow along for more examples on how to get better at programming in Java.